What's up, guys? What's happening?
Good evening.
Good evening. Sounds like Dracula. Just setting up chats and stuff here. I don't want to put it there. I'm gonna put it over here. I want to put this over here too.
Hey, Zach.
What's up, Daniel?
Oh my gosh.
Got quite a training today.
Uh-oh.
60 slides. It's like the longest thing I've made.
Did
It's
you
up
hear
there.
that Charlie Kirk was assassinated today?
I did. Very sad. Very sad news. Very sad. What a great representation of someone making a difference and um using his voice and his platform for good and helping people.
Indeed. It's interesting. A couple of my liberal friends
You
posted on
have
Facebook. They said, "We don't like Charlie, but there is absolutely no call for someone to be killed because you don't like what they say."
yeah, it's really messed up. I'm glad you have reasonable reasonable liberal friends there, Daniel, because I've seen some other more nasty things that are not okay, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah. Well, my brother, he's not a very gracious
He's got
It's like, well, that's a good start.
no, yeah, that's
Oh, yeah.
terrible.
Yeah.
I would backhand my brother. Backhand him good. Yeah, very sad. Very sad indeed. Well, thanks, Daniel, for starting us off on a sad note tonight. Just
It
kidding.
can only get better.
That's right. That's right.
It can only go up from here.
I'm surprised. We only have 8 folks. Okay, 9. Oh, we just got is that Janelle?
Hi, yeah, it's me.
How you feeling?
I just woke up from my second nap of the day,
Nice.
so I need a few minutes.
Yay.
Okay. All right. All right.
Just wait till you're 70.
Daniel's like, I've got 4 in the bag today.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Well, we can get started. A very small crowd today. What's going on? Is there a holiday I don't know about? Are people just not wanting information? Curious. Very curious. Well, they picked a heck of a one to skip because it's kind of for those of you watching the replay, you better have a good reason. Good reason. The benefit of coming live on these things is you're able to interact and ask questions and really get clarity because I can present whatever I can present. I don't always think of every angle that somebody might be thinking about these topics and things. So, um, you know, if you can't make it, you can't make it. Obviously, that's fine. But if you're not showing up just because you don't want to, well, that's a problem. And we'll talk about that based on this presentation today. So I want to share my screen. We are a minute over. I imagine the takeaways will probably take a lot less time. Thank you, Guy. You know what? Appreciate you. You're always here. Always, always. Unless it's a very rare situation like a wedding or a birthday. I don't know. Sickness, I guess. I appreciate that. Let me get this over here. Okay, let's begin. So, this is a series. So, every second Wednesday now, we're going to have a specific mindset call. I'm calling it the Think Like a Trader series because we had a couple of calls that we called Think Like a Trader. I figured we'll just roll with that. I'm not the most creative person when it comes to naming things. As you know, I have a podcast, the Zach Schuenke podcast. I had a podcast about some Bible study stuff. Bible study with Zach Schuenke. Again, I'm not the most creative person when it comes to naming stuff. Um, so think like a trader. is what we got going on here today. Let me get zoom out of the way. We're going to talk about ownership and resourcefulness. So today's agenda, we're going to talk about personal accountability. We're going to talk about resourcefulness, ownership, resilience, and then we have a little bit of an action plan for you guys today. So we'll get started. First off, talking about personal accountability. Three things are involved with that: defining your purpose, understanding the difference between responsibility and fault, and talking about journal and note taking. Okay. So, first and foremost, defining your purpose. This is more or less kind of like your vision, but I want it to be deeper than just a vision. I want it to be legitimately like the purpose behind your efforts as a trader. And we've done this before, but I listed off a few things like for example, your vision for your finances, right? Vision for what the money can do for you. Potentially something involved with your house, maybe a new home, maybe a second home, maybe certain furniture that you've been wanting, or certain things that you want. I'll tell you what, there's some fancy like sinks. I don't know why I keep getting things about sinks. Really fancy freaking sinks. I would love to have one of those. Things like that. So you can have this vision for things that you want in your home, about your home, in your yard, what kind of land you're looking for. If you want to do homesteading, there's all sorts of things that you can visualize about your home. Vehicles. I'm I'm more into the stance of not investing heavily into vehicles. However, vehicles can be a tax break. They're just a pricier tax break if you do leases and stuff. Anyway, what was your vision for a vehicle? Do you just want a vehicle that's been your dream car for a while? Maybe it's like a Ferrari or something, just to say you did it, For some people that's important, and I think that's okay. What about services? Are you tired of cooking and you just wish someone would just cook for you every day? Hire a cook. You tired of cleaning up the house? Hire a maid or a butler. Are you tired of mowing your lawn? Hire someone to mow the lawn, right? So, what kind of services do you think would be an awesome vision for your finances, which can also free up time and really help you focus on things that matter more, right, than those things? What about some dreams that maybe your family has that they've never been able to afford? Whatever that looks like. Um, Only thing I can come up with is like, for example, I've got one child who is obsessed with motorcycles, more so than I am. And so, he's got a dream bike. He's got some things that he wants to do with that dream bike. Like we want to go to Tennessee and there's this really cool route that he wants to take and he wants me to go with him and stuff. I don't know when that's going to happen, but stuff like that. Or I have another child who's really, really big into horses and horse riding and she wants to get into competitions and stuff like that. So like what are some dreams that potentially your family can embrace because of your trading, right? So Janelle put here, my kids would like to spend a few months living on the beach in Costa Rica. That's amazing. A couple months. That's amazing. What an outstanding dream to have as part of your purpose behind your trading. Um, well, travel. Speaking of Costa Rica, right? Maybe there's certain places you've always wanted to travel. What about education? And I'm not saying school, but maybe there's some things that you've wanted to learn that require a huge investment, a heavy investment. Those kinds of things. African safari, Alaskan cruise, all awesome, awesome, awesome. What about inheritance? What do you want to leave behind financially, right? There's other things to leave behind in terms of legacy, but financially, what is it that you're looking to leave behind? What would that do for your family, for your kids and their kids, etc.? Um, this is a vision. This is just a list of things that I just kind of rattled off. Definitely you guys should get really specific and really hone in on what this vision could do for you and what it would look like. What about your vision for your time? How are you spending your time? What kind of memories are you looking to make with those that you care about? What kind of countries are you looking to visit and learn about? Maybe learn their language, maybe learning other languages just so you can go to Italy and speak Italian? Um, Richard put in here, I'm going to be able to put my daughter and family in a house and be able to watch my grandson as not at so as not at daycare and homeschooled. I love it, Richard. Beautiful vision. Love that. What about hobbies? You got more time. What are you going to do with it? What is, are you going to learn a hobby? You know, are you into martial arts? Or I mentioned horseback riding, or are you into, biking or like actual athletic things like triathlons or marathons and things like that that you want to train for? You just haven't had time. There's so many things that you can do with this time. It's really incredible. What about your influence? You know, I'll tell you what, there's kind of a general concept out there talking about homeschooling, Richard. There's a general concept out there where kids are kind of getting raised by teachers instead of parents in a lot of respects, right? I don't think that's okay. I don't. So if you had more time, you could be that positive influence for those in your life, for your kids, for potentially even friends. I put in here community as well. You can maybe contribute to the community. You can help host certain events or charities. I'll tell you what, Shane Daniels in our group, he's a political, he has some kind of political office in his local area. And he loves doing that because it gives back. It's kind of gives a what he would consider a reasonable voice to that community. And I would also consider his voice very reasonable. But you can have that influence for people because you have the time. You have the time to devote into that. So those are once you have this purpose, I want you to think of this as like what's at stake. Okay, trading oftentimes what we do is we put it in our minds that trading is this side hustle. It's like trading is the hobby. It's not. Trading is the greatest opportunity I've ever seen. And I've been a part of a lot of different opportunities. Nothing is beats in terms of amount of time and effort put in for the amount of returns that you can get. I mean, nothing can beat trading. So if you have this vision, that's what's at stake here. And so if you know what's at stake, now you're treating trading like a very serious business. All of a sudden, every trade matters. Every single trade, you have a plan. You know exactly what you're going to do with that plan based on what the market decides to do, and we'll talk about that in a second. And you're willing to execute it, and you're willing to take reasonable, probable risks that make sense based on your plan, and you're not willing to go against it, to go against your plan, because this is what's at stake, right? So it's a perspective, it's a way of thinking about it. You got to treat it extremely seriously. Otherwise, it's just not going to work. Your emotions will get the better of you. Okay? So, define your purpose. Next, the difference between responsibility and fault. Okay? Now, I didn't really go into huge details here, but this I just have an example, and it is important to understand the difference. So fault is something that happens outside of your control. Um, and I'm referring to trading, obviously. And then responsibility is what you can control. So, for example, if the market goes the wrong way, is that your fault? Right? So if you take a loss in the market, you have to identify, was it my fault or did I do what I was actually responsible for? So if the market goes the wrong way, did you close that trade and following your plan? You forced the exit in accordance with what you wrote down on your plan, or did you take a bigger hit not following your plan? In which case, now the fault moves from the market over to you. Okay. So there's a side of this that you are responsible for, and there's a side that you're not responsible for, that the market is ultimately at fault. However, if you fail your responsibility, well, now some of that gets landed onto you. Does that make sense? I mean, this you can go in some high depth situations with responsibility versus fault. I know a lot of you started reading Extreme Ownership. They talk about this. They talk a little bit about the difference between responsibility and fault. There's another one too. Oh, there's another book. I think it's actually The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F is the name of the book. I think they also talk about the difference between these two. So there's a few resources. I would highly recommend understanding this. Generally in life, it's extremely helpful, you know. And I can tell you just from my own experience, I've been through a divorce and stuff like that. Not saying woe is me. I'm saying it was a hard thing for me, right? And I had to identify what was I at fault for and what was I responsible for, and understanding that there is definitely a distinct difference. And so this concept can help you in other areas, not just trading, sorry, but it's a very good thing to understand. Kelly just finished Extreme Ownership. That was fast. That was fast, Kelly. Do it again. No, I'm just kidding. You're good. That's good. It's a great book. Great book. Finally, the last part of personal accountability is your journal and your notes. I want you to journal your results, whether they're positive or negative. We see a lot of times, or I see a lot of times, sometimes people will be like, well, I took a loss, but it doesn't count. It doesn't count because ABCXYZ. I accidentally clicked a thing, you know, there was slippage and the slippage kind of messed me up, you know. Journal every result, positive or negative. It is very important to see those things, even and more or less, especially the ones you don't want to see. And then, of course, note how you got it. So if you did take a hit, make a note. How did that happen? Was it something that you missed in your initial analysis of the trade? Or was it maybe a mess up on in terms of where your stop loss was placed or your forced exit happened? Um, or maybe there was none of those things and the market just was a jerk, in which case, okay, I did what I was supposed to do. And mathematically, guys, if you follow your plans from a probability standpoint, mathematically, you're going to be okay, even with the occasional loss, which will happen. Correlates well with one of my favorite quotes. You don't control anything, but you do manage everything. I love that. That's great. So journal everything, note everything. It's very, very helpful for you to hold yourself accountable. Any questions on personal accountability before we get into resourcefulness? All makes sense. Cool. It's nice that we have a smaller crowd. It's kind of nice. Kind of nice. Sucks for those other people though. Resourcefulness. So this is leveraging tools that you have, using the community and doing community engagement, and of course self-education. Um, so some of the tools that we have, like charting platforms, TradingView or ThinkTrader or your broker, whether it's MT4, MT5, or maybe a prop firm broker. Um, those are tools that can be very resourceful for you. So if you ever watch Matt trade, he loves putting lines. He loves putting supports and resistances, trend lines, things like that, or entry lines. He's like, you know what, this is where I want to enter. He'll put a line there because it's easier for him to visually see what his next steps are. That's totally cool. You can label things. If you guys see me mark up my charts from the long time frame, I like to put very, very important levels on there. Putting the 3 a.m. level, 2 a.m. level, depending on your time zone. The LOL is what we're calling it, the London Open level, the LOL. Okay. So charting platforms and knowing how to use those platforms and draw on those charts and use those to your advantage. Awesome. Learn that. Guess what? We are not necessarily the experts of every trading platform, but you can absolutely Google it. You can absolutely go on YouTube and see how to use TradingView effectively with whatever tools you're looking to use. They have lots of videos. Okay. News sites. It's another awesome tool to have. Looking at news. How important is the news? How much news is there? Is there? Is the risk worth it? There are certain news items that I tend to stay away from most of the time. And so, knowing that and understanding that and really getting deep into the news stuff. We do have a really cool news video from Matt in the basics training. And he does go into different cool things you can do, including alerts about news and stuff like that, which is very important. You don't want to have news happen and be like, oh, shoot, I lost track of time. Like, you want to be aware. You want to be present and very, very aware. Journal your data. I'm sorry, this is meant to be journal data. The data from your journal, your win rate, your hold percentage, your average wins, average losses, the average duration of your trades. A new one that I've been looking at lately has been times of entries. What time did that entry occur? I'm finding some absolutely amazing things in terms of times. I typically now I don't trade anywhere outside of the every quarter of the hour. I just don't. I tried a couple times again last week just to, oh, but it looks good, but it looks like a good setup, and I took it and it was not good. So okay. So for me personally, I like taking trades every quarter of the hour, and I have a 3 minute buffer on that. So 3 minutes after that quarter of the hour, I'm okay with it. So what does your journal data tell you? What does it tell you about your habits? What does it tell you about what you are responsible for? Notes data. It's not just about the numbers by themselves. What kind of notes are you noticing? If you can sort that journal data by losses, and if you see your notes on the side, you can see common mistakes that you're noting. You can see like, oh, I held this too long. Oh, I overtraded. This was a result of overtrading. This was revenge trading. You can start to kind of see a pattern of where those losses come from. Remember, trading is not about winning, it's about not losing. So, understanding where those losses and why those losses are taking place is extraordinarily powerful. We have an emotional eval. It is not wise to trade emotionally, not wise at all. I got to say the worst scenario is definitely relationship challenges. If you're going through an argument currently with your significant other, not a good day to trade. Just don't do it. I would rather you take a zero than almost an inevitable loss. Okay. So emotion evaluation. And I know some of us are a little, if you're single, stay that way. That's the only reason to stay single. That way we can trade well without emotions. um, no, but it is a really great tool to go through the emotional eval. Um, there's a high likelihood if you do not pass that eval that you will lose in front of the charts. It's not always, but there's a high probability. So why risk it? A zero is better than a negative, right? So use it. Long range tool. It's the new one that we have. There's still room for improvement on it. It's not supposed to be the end all be all. To give you an example, today actually was a pretty good example of this. I only traded for 30 minutes this morning because I did good in 30 minutes. Okay. But today, everything was kind of in buy mode. Everything was in the buy channels and stuff in the longer range time frames and things. However, I don't know if you guys saw it, but there was divergence on two of those longer ranges. There was bearish divergence. So everything was saying buy, but two were saying bearish divergence. It was a little bit weird, right? So that tells us some things. And that's where the long range tool, it's meant to assist you, not meant to do it for you. Okay, it gives you a really good insight, but you could have noticed, oh, there was two bearish divergence things, so sells aren't out of the question. There's a good chance we're going to see a couple of pullbacks. And so the long range tool is super, super helpful. These are just different tools that you can be resourceful with in order to just dominate the skill set. Also, of course, we have education videos, and I don't know if you saw it, but in Heartbeat, in the inner circle, formerly known as the hub, okay, there is a search in the top right corner if you're on desktop. You can use that. So if you're looking for the video on news, you can type in news up there, and it's going to populate the things having to do with news for you. So you can, if you're having trouble finding something, use that search tool. Go through those education videos so much that you do know where everything is, and you could even identify, oh, I remember it's in the middle of the video somewhere. You can almost say the timestamp. That's how familiar you could be with these educational resources. Other part of resourcefulness is the community engagement. We're all a team, guys. There's no one better. There's no competition. Trading is one of those things that's kind of nice that way. It's not necessarily like, hey, I'm better than you, blah blah blah. No, we're a team. We're all in this together. We do have different skill levels, and we do get different results based on those skill levels. But at the end of the day, we want everyone to win. We have a lot of goals talking about those that vision and that purpose. We have a lot of goals over here in terms of meeting in person and having in person events, and it'd be great for you guys to be so successful with trading that you could do that. You could join us at some kind of in person event. Um, After searching for all your answers, if you have a question, you search everywhere. Reach out to the community. Ask the community, hey, I remember seeing this somewhere. I couldn't find it. Can anyone help point me in the direction of this video that I remember seeing? Right? The benefit of that is that this is going to help you and it's going to help others because others will see that and be like, oh, I didn't see that video. I'm curious. I want to watch that too. And therefore you're actually helping more than one person at once. It's a beautiful, beautiful way of doing it and being resourceful for everybody. Finally, with resourcefulness is the self-education. Like I said, use that search tool and ask the community if you cannot find a resource. Questions on resourcefulness. This is going to help you. I'll tell you what, the thing that we're trying, the reason this is being brought up in the first place is that there are a few folks that we've seen, very few. Okay, I'm not saying majority at all. This is definitely very minority amount of people that they almost want to be spoon-fed every bit of information. And the problem with that is when you spoon feed someone, just take a look at like your kids, if you've got kids, right? If they're working on a math problem and they're like, I can't figure this out, I need help with this math problem. And you're just like, oh, the answer is 5. What did they learn? Nothing. Right? They didn't learn anything. You could even explain it to them. You could be like, oh, you got to carry the 1 and do this, blah, 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 5. See? Or what if instead you asked questions? What if instead you said, okay, what do you think is the first step? Well, I know I'm supposed to add this number and this number because they're in the same column. All right, what does that do? Well, that gives me this number here, but I don't remember where to carry it. Like, you see how it's like so different. Now they're engaged, they understand what's going on. That's the difference here. That's why we're talking about resourcefulness because it's the best way for you to learn the skill. We're not doing this because we don't want to help spoon feed you. We're doing this because we want you to learn, and the best way to learn is to be resourceful and to find that information. Cool. Hope that makes sense. Yeah, James would say they want their bottoms wiped by us. Yeah. Good old James. Finally, let's get into ownership. First step of taking ownership of your trading journey is having a plan, your plan based on what you know, based on what you're comfortable with, based on your risk tolerance, based on everything about you and your trading journey and where you're at, your plan. Also, there's daily and weekly routines. We talked last week about pre-trading routines. I hope that's been very helpful for people. I myself have improved my daily routine every day just to help out. Weekly routines is another one. I know Guy has this thing where he likes to do insane amounts of screenshots and chart make markups and stuff based on his trading. Very, very helpful. And he can look at anything throughout the week, including his Loom videos to revisit those trades. It's a beautiful thing. Having these kinds of routines, that's how you're going to just make it run. It's kind of like a business. You know, you might have a daily meeting with the sales team or something like that. And then you have a weekly company meeting to kind of go over the generals, like what's the plan for the week, who's doing what, that kind of thing. You got to have those meetings to make it run. Your trading is a business. Your routines are basically your meetings with yourself. Okay, so having a daily and a weekly routine is paramount to having ownership of your trades. Tracking metrics that we've been talking about, win rates and those kinds of things. Understanding that, hey, have I been doing better? Have I been doing worse? What part of that improvement or not improvement, what part of that am I responsible for versus what part of it is the fault of the market? Or what part of it am I at fault for if I wasn't responsible, right? Tracking those metrics and really understanding what's going on. And of course, did you follow your plan? Yes or no? Did you follow it? It's a very basic question. And oftentimes it's a question we avoid because we don't like the answer. So stop avoiding it. So that's how you take ownership. You got to take ownership, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Questions on ownership before we get to the last little topic here. I hope you guys have been reading Extreme Ownership, and I would recommend reading it a lot. Honestly, I've read it a million times. So, Stacy, did you have a question?
Yeah, it's not so much a question, but a comment. I've noticed for myself personally, Just having an accountability partner has been helping me a lot because even though I have Quentin, I have somebody else in the community, and it's just been very, very helpful. Just talking through and not using that why word, but what happened or what
Yeah.
was going on. And it's amazing how when you talk it through with somebody else, you're like, dang it.
Yeah.
And then you
It's
just
powerful.
improve little by little and just having that support. So I just, on that ownership and responsibility, I just want to point that out. So if you don't have an accountability partner, it helps.
Did you do these slides? Because that's coming. You already,
No,
you're good. You're good. Uh,
sneak peek.
yeah, very good. I totally agree with everything you said. Absolutely. So resilience, aha, see there it is. So under resilience, we've got emotional awareness, self-correction tools, and of course, an accountability partner to help you be resilient. It's very, very important. So first is emotional awareness, identifying the triggers for bad behaviors and habits. Um, I'll just tell you some of mine. When I, I'm obviously a very consistent trader and I have a pretty decent level of control of my emotions. It doesn't mean the emotions don't come up. They do. I'm just good at it, like shutting it down. Like, don't do something stupid, you know? But I'll tell you what is the most frustrating thing is when the analysis is totally correct, but the timing is off. That bugs the crap out of me. You know, if I say, oh, this is going to be a buy, and it is a buy, just not for 5 more minutes. That bugs the crap out of me. So I take a little loss and then I miss the actual buy and then I could have had it, you know. That is a trigger for me. But now that I know that, I now can come up with a plan on how to respond to it, right? I feel like this is almost like the good old-fashioned DARE program. I don't know if they had DARE in Canada. It's a big thing in the States, at least when I was a kid, when most of us were probably kids. I don't know about Daniel, was dare a thing when you were a kid? Might have been a little too far ago. You're gonna leave me hanging on that. I know you're not offended by that. You've got a good sense of humor. Anyway, but the DARE program, it was like have a plan on how to say no when you're offered drugs or when you're offered alcohol or whatever the heck. Have a plan for that. Yeah, same thing here. Have a plan before the event, the emotional event happens. Have a plan for when it does. Um, just some examples that I've seen people do. Some people, they're trading on their laptop, they literally close the lid of the laptop. Like that action is easier to them than clicking the X on the broker and closing the broker. It's just easier to poof, shut it down. Okay. That's great. Coming up with those kinds of plans, very, very helpful. Yeah. So some normal triggers would be like FOMO. FOMO's a big one, especially if you get on James's call, is typically where I see a lot of people have FOMO, myself included sometimes. And you see a trade going, you chose not to enter because you're following your plan, which is the right thing to do, and then it goes 100 pips, and you're like, son of a gun. But it's okay. That is part of the game. You are in a certain spot in the journey. You got to be okay with it. I would highly recommend you guys focusing on FOMO drills. And a good example of this would be spend time during normal trading hours, whatever your trading hours are. For most of us, it's around the New York Open, an hour before, an hour after, whatever. Your normal trading time, sit on your hands or unplug your mouse. Do something where you literally cannot take a trade and you have to sit there and you have to watch those trades occur and you have to let them pass by. You have to be like getting used to the idea of FOMO because you're not going to get every single trade. You are going to miss out on potential opportunities because of a decision you made at the time or potentially a distraction. A kid called your name or something, you looked over, you missed the trade. Or you went to the bathroom at the worst time. You know, those are things that I know a lot of us have experienced. Not measuring the pips you miss. All right, I feel personally attacked here. I totally did that on one of my sessions. I was like, I missed it. And then I'm like, I'm going to torture myself and measure how many pips I missed. So yeah, don't do that. So identifying those triggers, revenge trading, is a common thing. And if you can recognize I'm in that mode, I'm in that state of mind of revenge trading, have a plan for that. What are you going to do to get out of that? Over trading. It's a very common, kind of similar to revenge trading, but not quite. You can have actual reasonable losses and say, you know what, I should be done by now because I did my 3 strikes, but I don't want to. I want to keep doing this or whatever. And that causes over trading. Have a plan for that. Again, this is all just about being aware of those emotional triggers and having a plan for those things so that you can prevent catastrophes. Self-correction tools. Obviously, we've talked about the emotional eval. I would highly recommend talking about it again. So, yeah, it's a great self-correction tool. You can really self-reflect, and you don't have to use the one we provide. If there are questions that you would prefer to ask yourself, write them down. Have a list next to your mouse or whatever saying you have to ask yourself these questions before you trade to make sure that you're in a state of mind that's ready to do so. Set some kind of max loss. Like, okay, if I lose 15 pips, I don't care when it is, I'm shutting it down. Have some kind of max loss. Could be 15, could be 30. Matt and I just this morning, no. Maybe it wasn't Matt. Who was it that I was talking to? Was it you guy? It was you guy. Yeah, we were talking about like a percentage. Maybe a percentage of your average wins could be like your max loss. I can't remember what we came up with. I think it was 5% or something like that. Just as a general idea. Come up with the number yourself. This was just me and Guy kind of spitballing a little bit yesterday. So come up with your max daily loss limit. What is reasonable to you based on your typical results? Have stop loss rules. My stop loss goes at the super trend. That's my rule. And I don't move it below that. I have a rule where when I move my stop loss to a new location, it's like it's locked in. I mean, it's not literally I can move it back down, but I don't. There's very, very rare occasions. Sometimes I'll move it up to a new location because I'm like, okay, this seems reasonable. And then after as soon as I let go, I'm like, no, actually, I'd rather do this. Okay, I'll do that. I'll make a little mistake or something, but I don't put it somewhere. And then as soon as the market starts to get close, oh, let me move it. I don't do that. That's not good. I have stop loss rules that prevent me from doing that. And I have that's that self-integrity, right? I do what I say I'm going to do. Have some rules for your forced exit. For me, most of my forced exits are based on candle closes, bar closes. So my stop loss is, hey, if the market crosses a certain point, that's what my stop loss is for. But if it closes below or above the wrong way a certain point, I have to wait for that bar to close. And that's how I like to do my forced exits. Not saying it's what you have to do, but have something. Have some kind of rules for your forced exits. This is all part of the plan. So that's the self-correction tools. Finally, with resilience, your accountability partner is huge. What a huge blessing to have an accountability partner. I want to say that there's kind of two kinds of accountability partners. And if you find one person that can do both, that's awesome. Sometimes it might be helpful to have two accountability partners. And so that's what I have right now. So I've got Janelle as one of mine, and I have Brian as my other one. And I'll tell you what, they're both very different. Janelle and I, when we do our accountability calls, most of the time it's an evaluation. It's kind of what Stacy was talking about. Hey, what were some of the challenges? What did you do to fix it? Those kinds of things, and we discuss it. Brian is much more of my I'm gonna slap you in the face kind of guy. Okay, so I meet with Brian, and he's like, "Hey, how did trading go today?" And I'm like, "Well, well, I had a little bit of a lot. I did that. Well, what happened? Tell me what happened." And like, but it's kind of forceful. It's Brian. Brian and I have been best friends for quite a long time now, so I'm used to it, and we're good with that. It is helpful. It is really helpful because there's a little voice in the back of my mind that says, I don't want to tell Brian about a loss, you know, because I have someone like that that's going to kind of smack me a little bit if I do that. Okay. That's actually a nice thing. That is a positive fear, right? When people talk about like the fear of God, not saying Brian's God, just saying the fear of God is the same kind of concept where like, you choose to do right decisions and follow commandments or what have you because there's that fear of, oh boy, I don't want God to be mad at me. You know, it's the same kind of concept. Parents, you do the same thing to your children. Your children, if they do something bad, they're terrified of you. Well, they should be. They should be scared of you a little bit. Oh no, mom is going to be so disappointed or dad is going to ground me. And there's this little bit of fear back there, healthy fear to help keep you going on the straight and narrow path of success. And that's same kind of thing for an accountability partner. If you can have that, it is very beneficial. And on your weekly debriefs with that partner, you could discuss wins, losses, lessons. The whole point is you're not judging, you're evaluating. Okay. I think that's all I have for that. Okay. So accountability partners. Um, so questions on that, on all the resilience stuff. Oh, my nose is itchy today. Sorry about that. All right. Well, the action plan is to get an accountability partner. So Stacy was spot on. The action plan is to get one. Each trader keeps a journal. You should, if you don't already have a trading journal, I know some of you are probably thinking, why would they not have a journal by now? You'd be very shocked and surprised at how many people submit their trades and there's a little spot to put your journal and they put in there, don't have it yet, or forgot to do this, or whatever. That blows my mind. It completely blows my same with trading plan. How do you not have a plan? How do you not have journal to track what you're doing? If you do not do that, you're not going to know how to improve. It's impossible because it's all anecdotal. It's all based on how you felt during the session. You could have won by not following your rules, and you'll never know that because you're not keeping records of it. That's the worst thing you could do is win by not following your rules. It's like a what's it? It's like reinforcing bad behavior, you know? Yeah. Anyway, it's like giving a dog a treat for doing something naughty. It's what you're kind of doing by doing that, right? So anyway, each trader should be keeping their trading journal and share it openly with the other partner. There should be weekly accountability calls or reports. I know sometimes scheduling is a bit of a hassle, but I know a lot of you guys that have accountability partners within the community. You meet on Saturdays or you meet on Sundays, whatever's convenient. It doesn't have to be long, 30 minutes, 45 minutes. Share key setups and lessons learned. Share wins and losses. Like, oh, this was the trade of the week. Here's my trade of the week. Look at this. It's a perfect DRS entry. I was patient and waited for the signal. I took it and then it hung out for a couple minutes, but I was watching the TSI. It was still green. And then look at that. I got 30 pips off of it. That is the play of the week. Share that with your accountability partner because they then will learn from that. And also losses. Here's my loss of the week. Don't do that. Don't do a loss of the week. But here's a loss that I'm not super proud of. Let me show you this. Here's where I think I made a mistake, and here's why, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Very, very important to share those things. Rotate leadership. So each week, one trader leads the other for the review. Okay. So asking the questions and those kinds of things. Kind of just change rules there every once in a while. And then celebrate your progress, not just profits. So even if you have a week, um, Guy, I'm using you as a good example here all day today, I guess. But like Guy last week, he didn't have necessarily a profitable week, but it was progress. He identified a lot of things, and that's great. Even if it's a small win week, that's great. If it's a big win week, okay, what's the progress? Because even if you have a winning week, it doesn't mean necessarily that you progress. Did you understand more about you and your trading process during that week? That's what's to celebrate. Cool. Questions? Let's go into the top takeaways. And of course, if you have questions during that, that's totally Fine. Totally good. Totally good. So, Guy, we'll start with you. What's your top takeaway tonight?
Well, you had me in a position where I really was reflecting on having an accountability partner. So I'm just going to say the names. I don't know if we need to be quiet about that, but I got Shane. I've been with Shane for a while, and then as time went by, he became a coach. So we just kind of stuck with that process of meeting every Saturday. And now I've got Kelly right after Monday's kickoff calls. And so what helps me is it's great to hear from coaches talking all the time, but when we get a chance as students to talk, there's a lot of opportunity to, when you say these things out loud, when it comes to trading, especially that you're having these aha moments in your own head. And so that when I have a chance to speak these things out loud, I'm like, okay, it's making sense to me that I can explain it to somebody else at the same time.
I like it.
And so I knew that, but it gave me a chance there throughout this evening to reflect on that. So yeah.
Perfect. That's great. Thank you. Very good insights. I love that. Anthony, what's your top takeaway?
Um, I think, having an accountability partner, because as of now, I don't. But I think that'd be helpful just to, communicate with someone and go over some of the wins and losses and things like that. But on a side note, I just appreciate what you and Janelle do as far as getting the mindset right too. This isn't just about analyzing trades, just looking at a chart. Having us read books like Extreme Ownership and Atomic Habits, and having something like this where we could just kind of get the mindset, because that's helped me a lot in this process, in this journey, in doing that. And it's good to know that I'm not the only one that measures the pips that I could have had on a trade I didn't make. So makes you feel any better. I do that too. But yeah, I
Yeah.
got to stop doing that. So, but yeah, those are kind of a couple of things on that. So,
Awesome. Love it. Well, definitely, you can always make a post or reach out to some people, see who wants to be an accountability partner. I
yeah,
highly recommend that. And
yeah,
what's cool is you don't even have to have someone who trades. So some people have like their spouse or a friend or someone, you tell them what your goals are, what you're looking to accomplish, and what you're looking to not have happen, like a certain big loss. And they can actually help you just by understanding those little bits. So
yeah. Okay.
you got a few options. Yeah. It's good.
Okay. Thank
Good,
you.
good, good. Stacy, what's your top takeaway?
Wow, it was a lot. My top takeaway is just literally keeping up with my accountability partner. Like I have two in essence. I have Quentin, but we're familiar with each other. So he's my Brian. I said to him, 'cause
Okay.
he'll be up in my face about did you get your pips? Okay, shut it down. Okay. Whereas when Tara and I meet twice a week, beginning of the week to see what our goals are, which we would have set from the previous week, but just to reaffirm. And then at the end of the week, and we text each other throughout the day or, a couple times of the week. And end of the week is nice too, to kind of say, this is how my week went. Here are my lessons. And oh yeah, we talked about, so I love the accountability part of it and how it's improved. I've improved in my trading, especially in my patience for the most part.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Love it. Quentin, what's your top takeaway?
You pushing me out of the way.
Moving here, so it's just not my head. My top takeaway really is we're a team. I like the fact that we are a team of traders. Um, a suggestion maybe, I don't have an accountability partner as of yet, but perhaps I don't know if it could be something that could be put within a chat or within the community where maybe there's a group, okay, there's these many people that would like to have an accountability partner. Um, and then at least we have a pool and we know, okay, this person's looking for one, this one's looking for one. Then we
That's
can
cool.
maybe reach out and say, would you like to be my accountability partner? Um,
Okay. Yeah, I
just
like
a,
that.
just a thought, because yeah, I mean, the
Yeah.
accountability partners that I would think are gone right now. They're already used.
I'll make a post. We'll do like I'll make it like a poll. It'll be don't have an accountability partner, have one, not looking for more, and then have one, I'm open to another. That kind of
Yeah.
thing. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Awesome.
okay. It's
Awesome.
cool. Great idea. Thank you, Quentin. Kelly, what's your top takeaway?
The whole the accountability partner, what to be asking. That I took a screenshot. Now I know other questions to be asking Kai and how we're doing, and I know since meeting with him on our Mondays, my win rate is going up. I'm doing much better. So yeah, it's been awesome actually. And so back to Quentin's, maybe even if you guys can point somebody that are both at the same stage and they're learning to one another, even, right? That
Yeah,
was just my brain thought.
I like that. Yeah.
So, you don't have somebody that, like Guy and I have both been in here for a long time and putting us with somebody that just came in.
Yeah.
You're not challenging, nobody would be challenging myself if you're putting me with a beginner kind of thing, right? So,
Yeah, for sure. I like it.
but
Thank you.
otherwise,
Very good
yeah, the
insight.
whole accountability, the different questions. Um, and I'm really bad at journaling. And Guy is so good. It's just like, oh, okay.
You guys,
The
you
the
guys
more
are
I
total
hear it though,
opposites.
the more it's getting driven in. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, guys journaling is exceptional. It's really something else. Daniel, what's your top takeaway?
Well, I don't have a top takeaway today. Uh,
Okay.
and I know that the thought of an accountability partner is um, something that I want, but I'm just too shy to make it happen. It's like, I don't want to get on there and put myself out there.
That's fair. It is scary, but that's kind of the
And
point.
I like, Quentin's suggestion because it kind of lets me off the hook of, being out there. And um, so that's my input for this
You,
evening.
sounds like your top takeaway is getting outside your comfort zone with accountability partners.
Yeah, that would, yeah.
Cool. Cool. Okay. Well, I'll make a thing. I'll make a thing and maybe we can work on it. John Bibby, what was your top takeaway?
Yep. Okay, here we go. So had two top takeaways. One is um, definitely need to get better at going back over my notes, reviewing them over my trades. I'm horrible at that. So I would take a few notes here and there, but it hasn't been consistent, and I need to be consistent about my note taking on every trade that I take and going back in and seeing what worked and what didn't work. I do not go back like I should. So I
Yeah.
think that's definitely a big issue that I'm working on to get better. The second takeaway is what everyone else has said, and I think Quentin had a great idea with the whole. I was wondering too, like I need an accountability partner. I don't have one, but just putting a post out there say, "Hey, I need a partner." How does that actually work? And I think the whole poll thing, putting a poll out there, seeing who has partners, who don't, I think that would definitely would help. And yeah, just if I can get an accountability partner, someone I can work with, and someone I can that we can work with each other. And as Kelly mentioned, someone on that same level too, which would be great. So we can help push one another. So I think it's
Right
a
on.
great idea.
Awesome. Awesome. Appreciate that. Yeah, I'll be making that post probably tomorrow. Jerry, what's your top takeaway?
I like just being aware of my own emotions, identifying the triggers or disappointments by being off on my timing and be ready to exit, not hang on to trades. FOMO, that be willing to let it go.
Perfect. Perfect. I like that. Yeah, being super aware of that is going to be crucial when in the moment. I like it. Richard, what's your top takeaway?
Like everybody so far, the accountability, and I think the idea of probably two could be fantastic. Um, Another issue is my journaling. Uh, right from the beginning, I had some issues with the loom and getting my charts to mark. So um, I'd like to strive to be like Guy on that and be thorough. And
Love it.
then third thing is I hope you can get back to being able to have some of your Zooms because
I'm working
enjoyed
on it.
those.
I'm absolutely working on it, I promise you.
Yep,
Yeah, I
I
was thrown quite
understand.
a curveball over the weekend, so but well, I enjoy doing them. I really do. It was a highlight of every day for me to be able to hop in and trade with you guys. So yeah, I'm working on some ideas and solutions to that.
Wonderful.
Thanks, Richard. And Janelle
Uh,
put here, oh, did someone have a comment?
yeah, Zach, I've got one of the things I noticed is I got on one of James' trading calls, and the guy's really good, but I had so many problems. I couldn't see, like he'd call out a number. Well, the numbers are so small, I couldn't see it on my screen. So I opened up my own chart. Well, my chart was a 2-minute chart and his was a one. And I was not seeing any of the signals
Yeah,
on a
yeah,
2-minute chart. Uh,
I
and,
get it.
and, uh, and I'm, and then I get embarrassed that I made one pip and everyone else is making like 300. No, not really. But
Yeah,
it's like,
500
oh, man, you know, uh, and I'm thinking I would love to have like, uh, which is similar to an accountability partner, a trading partner. Let's do a Zoom. And so, when he says, the target, the entry target is blah, blah, blah. Well, none of my charts are in sync with his broker's chart. And so
What I'm gonna do to kind of help out with that is and this is something I've been kind of doing, just not sharing, is kind of translating James. So because a lot of the things that he'll say on his sessions are misunderstood even. So having like a training on how to be on a James call effectively, in terms of what to look for levels, like what charts are you looking at? It's got to be a think markets chart, like think trader or whatever. And also just some of the thing, yeah, like a Yoda, finally get the Yodapedia. I have a little mini Yodapedia that we shared a while back, but it's nothing compared to we need definitely a more in-depth one with some videos like explaining things and examples. And so it's something that I'm working on, actually. So hang tight. I do want to have this Yodapedia thing, and I think it'll help
and
everybody.
and I'm not putting any responsibility on James. I'm
Right.
looking at myself and say, well, what do I need to do? And it's like maybe what I need to do is don't even look at any of my other charts and just recognize what he's referencing. Is he referencing the 21? Because like when he gives a number and I can't read the numbers, is he talking about the 21? Is he talking about the 55?
Well, and it's even harder when he's talking about two different markets.
Yeah.
So, like shoot, is he talking about NAS or Dow? I don't even know. And it becomes harder if both those markets are around the same price. Then it's like I don't even know what he's talking about. So I get it. I get it. And I agree that you have responsibility there. And I also recognize that you're not alone in that particular struggle. And so there's also a degree of things that we can do to help. And so that's where the ultimate Yodapedia is going to be very helpful. So thank you for your feedback.
Well, I appreciate that because I was actually going to suggest some things, but it's like, well, other people don't need these things, you know.
No, they do. No, yeah, they do. I promise. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah. So I'm already working. I started it already. Because actually Guy and I talked about this yesterday too. So I started it right away and I've got some plans with that. So last top takeaway here was from Janelle. She said her top takeaway is that we really do offer so much more here than just trading education, and that I could probably use a second accountability partner to be a bit more pushy with me in all aspects of life. Yeah. But wait a minute, Janelle. I thought I always yell at you. Brr. Just kidding.
I adore our calls and I find it very beneficial, but I'm just thinking like I likely could use a life
Yeah.
coach in all aspects to just kind of kick my butt. But no, you're my favorite accountability partner. You won't stop being my favorite. I just think maybe somebody needs to be a little. You're if I'm like I had a loss, you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. I'm pretty chill. So yeah.
But also, if somebody yells at me, I'll absolutely lose it. So let's not do that either.
All good. Well, thank you guys for joining me tonight. Like I said, every second Wednesday, we're going to dive deep into mindset like this. And I appreciate all of your feedback. We've got a really cool accountability partner poll that we'll do tomorrow, and I'm working on the Yodapedia. So, as always, we'd love your feedback. And if you need anything, reach out. And I'll see you guys on James's call tomorrow morning.
All right. Thanks so much.
Adios.